Right, let's bring in Carl, who's in Swansea. Carl, are you obsessed with the royal family? It's meant to be our #1 British obsession.
Well, first of all, good morning.
Well, it's afternoon, I think, actually, but hi.
I just stumbled upon your programme now, and I saw it came up. And no, I'm not obsessed with the royal family, and I can't see why. I just can't see why other people. I mean, I've heard the conversation. You're talking about the banquets. I think it's absolutely obscene.
Oh, really?
It's obscene when we have so much poverty in this country, and our towns and cities are in a mess. And I just think it's too much. It's too much.
You don't think it's a kind of a distraction? It's a way of kind of averting your eyes from all the misery and all the suffering and the people sleeping out in the streets and people at food banks. You've got this other kind of beautiful vista, a bit like watching a Hollywood movie. You know, you do it to take yourself out of yourself in a way.
Yeah, but the thing is, we should be realistic about it, see?
But I think didn't T.S. Eliot say mankind cannot bear very much reality? There's too much reality. There's too much of it in our faces. We can't really avoid it or escape it. So if we can focus on Kate's beautiful blonde locks, or if we can focus on, Melania's sash, which is in either purple or pink, and it goes with a yellow dress, and we're like, oh my God, what is that really? Isn't that something else to think about, Carl?
Well, the thing that annoys me about it, I mean, you get your scandals with the royals, and the thing that really annoys me is that everything you go on about, they're working royals, it's like they get up at 9, they work from 9 to 5, the charities, they just hide behind them. It's all fake, and I think that the royals are having a damn little laugh behind our backs, that they're getting away with all the things that they are doing,
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe some of them who maybe are obvious, but someone like the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, isn't incredibly hardworking, isn't she? Industrious.
Occasionally, a call reaches the airwaves that captures the attention of everyone listening. It isn't the result of sensationalism or outlandish theories, but rather a voice filled with genuine, heartfelt frustration that echoes the sentiments of many. Such moments reveal a collective exasperation that resonates far beyond the studio walls. When accusations of obsession with the royal family arise, the reaction is often one of disbelief and indignation. The term obsessed is met with a mixture of surprise and frustration. The concern expressed is not an obsession with individuals, but with the state of the country itself, a nation perceived to be unravelling while deference to tradition is expected. Words of frustration pour out, painting a picture familiar to countless listeners across the nation. The criticism is not directed at any specific member of the royal family. Instead, the frustration targets the broader system itself. The focus is not on tabloid details or personal dramas. Attention is drawn to boarded-up shops on local high streets, to potholes large enough to swallow a small car, and to the persistent sense that the country is grinding to a halt. This reality stands in stark contrast to the constant, adoring coverage of a family living in extraordinary luxury. The core issue is not animosity toward individuals, but a questioning of national priorities. The argument that emerges is a desire for a better country for all, not just for a privileged few born into wealth and status. What is often labelled as obsession is, in reality, a form of deep and enduring patriotism. It is a plea for a nation where the well-being of ordinary citizens is valued as much as royal milestones or the details of a state banquet. The frustration is unmistakable, and in these moments it becomes clear that these concerns are widely shared. The tone is firm and unwavering. When neighbours are seen struggling, when another local service is cut, it becomes increasingly difficult to accept the narrative that everyone is in this together. The dissonance is overwhelming. Every gilded carriage and diamond tiara becomes a stark reminder of the divide between those who rule and those who are ruled. The perspective is not one of radicalism, but of ordinary people observing the state of affairs and questioning the prevailing narrative. The pretense for many is no longer tolerable. Carl's argument gained momentum when the topic turned to the stark inequality present in society. "Look around, Vanessa," was the passionate plea, the voice cracking with emotion. "Just look! People are forced to choose between heating and eating, Towns are left in disarray and doctors' appointments are nearly impossible to secure. A Britain was described that appeared broken, a landscape marked by decay and a shortage of hope. In contrast, the royals were depicted as living a fantasy life, completely detached from the struggles of those they are meant to represent. The contrast is powerful and, frankly, undeniable, fueling much of the public's discontent. A vivid picture of this disconnect was painted, inviting listeners to consider the sheer absurdity of the situation. While one family occupies multiple taxpayer-funded palaces, complete with expansive grounds and numerous staff, other families are forced into temporary accommodation or face eviction. The discussion focused not just on abstract poverty, but on the harsh daily reality experienced by millions. The juxtaposition is striking, and Karl's effectiveness lay in exposing it with such clarity. The monarchy was argued to be more than a harmless tradition. It stands as the ultimate symbol of a deeply unfair society, a constant, glittering distraction from the real issues at hand. Attention then shifted to the cost, the staggering, almost unbelievable expense involved. The discussion encompassed not only the sovereign grant, but also the hidden costs: security, maintenance of numerous residences, and the immense financial burden of the institution. The question was posed: for what purpose? So that the royals can reside in lavish palaces and wave from balconies. It was pointed out that such funds could be used to transform communities or support hospitals, or to repair the deteriorating infrastructure that was so passionately criticised. This sense of wasted resources deeply frustrates those who see their taxes spent on pageantry while essential services decline. The argument presented was not solely emotional. It was also grounded in logic. The tangible benefits received by the country in exchange for this vast expenditure were questioned. The necessity of a living monarchy for tourism was challenged, with the suggestion that visitors would still be drawn to historic sites like the Tower of London and Buckingham Palace, even if they were only museums. This is a question often avoided by royalists, yet it is increasingly being raised by the public. For Karl, the conclusion was clear. The monarchy has become a luxury that Britain can no longer sustain, a fairy tale that has devolved into a costly joke at the public's expense. The discussion then shifted to the topic of royal charities, and at that point, the gloves truly came off. "It's all fake, Vanessa," was the declaration, delivered with unmistakable cynicism. "It's a complete charade." The argument was made that the royals' involvement with charities is not about genuine philanthropy, but rather a sophisticated public relations tool. It was suggested that this serves as a way for the royals to appear busy, compassionate, and engaged, without ever having to challenge the status quo. This was described as the ultimate smokescreen, a method to generate positive headlines and distract from the less savoury aspects of royal life, such as the frequent scandals that seem to follow the family. It was pointed out how convenient it is that whenever a royal faces controversy or public opinion turns negative, the media is suddenly filled with images of hospital visits or royals patting guide dogs. According to this perspective, these are not acts of altruism. Rather, they are carefully choreographed photo opportunities designed to manipulate public perception. The process was described as a reputation laundering service, where the good name of a charity is used to wash away the stain of a scandal. Recent legal victories and media battles were cited as examples, with the suggestion that the royals have become masters at managing their image, using charity work as their primary weapon. The view was expressed that these charities do not achieve anything of real substance that could not be accomplished without a royal patron. The question was raised: do these organisations truly depend on a prince or princess attending a gala dinner once a year for their survival? It was argued that the royals provide little more than fleeting publicity, while the real work is carried out by dedicated staff and volunteers every day. Frustration was directed at the notion that the public is expected to be grateful for this superficial involvement, as if the mere presence of royals is a magical solution to complex social problems. The entire affair was likened to a performance, and there is a growing sense of fatigue among those observing from the audience. This argument strikes at the heart of the most frequently cited justification for the monarchy's existence: their charitable work. If, as was bluntly stated, all of this is fake, then what remains? The point was made that these organisations are used by the royals as a shield. This allows the royals to occupy a space of moral authority, to be seen as leaders and carers, while remaining insulated from real accountability. The result is a self-perpetuating cycle of positive PR that costs the public a fortune and, in this view, delivers nothing of real value in return. The highlight of the call came when Carl turned his attention to Princess Anne. A short, barking laugh was let out. "The propaganda around Princess Anne is sickening, Vanessa. It really is," Carl declared, with sarcasm practically sizzling down the phone line. "The public is constantly told she's the hardest working royal. Hardest working at what? Cutting ribbons?" The absurdity of measuring work in the royal context was perfectly captured. For most people, work involves stress, deadlines, and the very real possibility of getting the sack. For a royal, it seems to involve smiling, shaking hands, and snipping a piece of satin with a pair of ceremonial scissors. The whole notion of a royal engagement was brilliantly deconstructed. Such an engagement was described as a few hours of pleasantries, a guided tour, a nice lunch, and then being chauffeured back to a palace. That, it was insisted, is not a hard day's work. That is a lovely day out. The delivery was hilarious, but also contained a profound truth. Decades of deferential media coverage have conditioned the public to see these activities as a form of noble public service. Carl was having none of it. He dared to say what many people think, that it's not work, it's a performance of work, and it's high time the applause stopped. At this point, Carl's rant tapped into a much wider feeling of disillusionment. The public is simply no longer buying the PR. The carefully managed statistics of engagements completed are now seen for what they are: a meaningless metric designed to project an image of diligence. Breathless news reports that celebrate a royal for undertaking hundreds of these visits a year were mocked, as if it were some superhuman feat of endurance. As Carl put it, there are people who work 2 jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. It was pointed out that a 75-year-old woman opening a new library should not be considered the pinnacle of hard graft. Ultimately, Carl's hilarious but brutal takedown of the hardest working royal narrative revealed the core of the argument. The monarchy, in this view, is an institution built on illusion. It thrives on the public's willingness to suspend disbelief and accept that waving is a skill, that cutting a ribbon is a job, and that living in a palace is a burden. But callers like Carl demonstrate that the spell is breaking. His voice, full of wit and righteous anger, represents a growing number of Britons who are tired of the fairy tale and are ready for a serious and long overdue conversation about the future.